Sierra Leone's capital, Freetown, is blessed with a scenic coastline sandwiched between mountains and the Atlantic Ocean. This beauty has also attracted mass urbanization across the country following the Civil War. But the country's urban boom is accelerating settlements and developments beyond the coast into steep and forested central mountains. Rapid deforestation, excessive rainfall, and land surface runoff have exposed Sierra Leone cities like Freetown to disasters like floods, erosions, and landslides. In August 2017, torrential rains and devastating landslides killed over 1,000 people and affected 6,000 more. Responding to the disaster, the government of Sierra Leone, the World Bank, the Global Facility for Disaster Reduction and Recovery (GFDRR), and the European and countries of the African, Caribbean and Pacific Group of States (ACPEU) collaborated to assess needs. Rapid damage and loss and multi-hazard risk assessments reveal total losses amounting to over $31 million United States dollars. The assessment also outlined some key priorities and financing needs for resilient recovery and reconstruction.
We went to Washington, we engaged with the World Bank, and the World Bank agreed to provide a grant to the government of Sierra Leone of about $10 million United States dollars, which we used and we packaged that grant to launch the Freetown Emergency Response Project. And even the government of Sierra Leone also provided counterpart funds of close to about $700,000 or so, which was added to that to make up the total resources needed for the project.
We are responsible for coordinating all the activities of the project through implementing partners like the Kuma Valley Water Company, the Roads Authority, the Disaster Management Agency.
To respond to initial needs, the World Bank, the United Nations Office for Project Services (UNOPS), the Sierra Leonean government and partners set up the Freetown Emergency Recovery Project to overcome the effects of the landslide disaster, present pandemics and future disasters. Urban resilience and disaster risk management is essential.
Yeah, well, as the component lead, we were responsible for the technical supervision, of the contractor and the consultants. So essentially, we had the works contracts and we had to go strictly by the contract and the technical specifications in terms of the construction of the bridges and the culverts.
The specific element of the project that we were responsible for was the improvements to drainage construction around the city. So the piece of FERP that we've been involved in has been providing, expanding, and in fact, in many cases, putting in new drainage in really difficult terrain. So places like up in Somalia Town, near Dwazak, Kole Town, where there was a big culvert put in along Shell, where the culvert was expanded.
So we had different components, and one of them being the water infrastructure rehabilitation. And I, as chief engineer for Kuma Valley Water Company, was subsequently put in charge as the project manager for that particular project. A huge portion of this project involves construction. So prior to the construction, we had to do a lot of design reviews, and of course I didn't do it alone. So it involves a lot of back and forth coordination between myself, my project engineer Bundu, the project coordinating unit at the PFMU, and then of course right up to the team lead at the project fiduciary unit.
Essentially, this infrastructure benefited over 200,000 people, and the bridges created some kind of connectivity. So communities that were disconnected as a result of the mudslide.
We know the disaster that happened. It didn't only destroy properties along the way and public infrastructure assets, but also lives and properties were destroyed, and people have to be relocated because of it's a disaster-prone area.
One of the notable achievements from this project is the establishment of the National Disaster Management Agency, which is responsible for not only the preparedness but also the response aspect of disasters when they strike. The NDMA today is capacitated with government officials who play a lead role in leading the policy dialogue, but also convening and bringing coordination of other partners to see to it that when disasters strike, what coordinated framework exists to respond. And before disasters strike, are we able to prepare so that we mitigate against this kind of disasters?
We are just doing the aspect of coordination and ensuring that our capacity is built in order to get prepared for a future disaster. But there were other strands that had an appendage to that particular disaster. For example, taking into consideration the water bodies that are contaminated. So the Ministry of Water Resources had to be engaged. The roads that were damaged and the bridges that were actually devastated by the disaster. The Sierra Leone Roads Authority had to be engaged. The Freetown City Council for issues related to disaster management that affects issues like cleaning of the environment, making sure that we have a sanitary environment, ensuring that waste management was in place. Those were issues that were captured by the project and it was properly addressed.
And then the program has also been able to lay the foundation of what we would call the follow-on operation, that is the resilient, Sierra Leone Resilient Urban Project, which essentially takes off from where the Freetown Emergency Project stops to bring about more cohesive measures to focus on urban planning. One of the things that we are working with the Freetown City Council and the other beneficiary cities across the country is how do you institute urban planning and how do you ensure that there is compliance with the different policies and norms, guidelines to facilitate a better urban form.
People living in this community, they really welcome this particular project and they be so happy. So gather them all to a meeting and we get meeting over 5 times with them for updates them, waiting there for be now with community in terms of this project.
I take active role for make sure that the drainage is on at the sea, the implementer according to the drawings and the specification of the project.
Like once one picking die, the say will not be get this bridge 8, the water sweep am. Then the water will not get control. Then suddenly, when the dot don't flow up, it flow go na people in the host them. But at least right now it better small.
Oh, don't get this bridge. I mean, I grad it say, when they can rainy season time, we know they sit down at this house. Water they enter inside, say on the back. And to the last day, bridge they go. What's in next? They for do. They be popowi. 5,000, 10,000. It depends by weight.
Patients now, they get outside the pass for Kana Center. Then motorcar they enter inside this community. Bike then they enter and they don't make the road yet. Patient there so then they kaya.
Me especially I represent my community for tell World Bank thank you for this project we they don't do. We know say now it's starting, although it's not enough for we, but we they appreciate and we tell them thank you for this one we they don't do for us. Because we don't ever get any kind of drainages in this community as well. Even if Ikiwaka, the whole smaller town, we don't ever get that kind of drainage way government or neither World Bank can do sorts of projects like this. So we tell them thank you, we appreciate them, although they not forget we.
Every piece helps, so it's a big thank you to the World Bank for this intervention. But we want to see a systematic, comprehensive approach that will really make the difference to the lives of Freetonians.